Jacob, home field has so much new stuff, especially for March and March Madness. They came in with new jerseys, like new retro jerseys, which are super, super cool. They always have the best stuff. I bought a home field shirt a couple years ago, and it still looks brand spanking new. And I got more home field stuff on the way. I absolutely cannot get enough of home field apparel.
If you're a NASCAR fan, actually, they have some throwback gear on their site too
Yeah.
right now. So tap in, home field. If you want to support the show, use code SQUARE at checkout. You get 15% off if you're a first time orderer, or you get 10% off if this is if you're just a home field addict. That's code SQUARE at checkout. There's one company, Andy, that we trust to put our own merch out there into the world and who we firmly believe is coming on top this football season. That's elitesports.com. They support athletes directly. They make custom stuff for us and for them. So how could we not be on board?
We got friends who have bought the crew necks. I always wear my Elite Sports Squaring Around hat. Got to support the brand. Use code SQUARE at checkout for a 10% discount. Not too shabby. EliteSports.com. They support the athletes and they support us. So go support them.
Thanks for squaring.
I am so sick of people acting like Texas State is this sort of world beating team. I've seen all of the graphics at this point, Jacob, and GJ's done a really good job of putting them on my timeline. Shout out to GJ Kenny. Look, I understand you want to say rat poison for everything. I get that. I respect it.
But is everything rat poison?
But when you retweet it, you are just amplifying the message, my brother.
Some things,
please leave it alone.
I think there's tiers to this too. Like there's rat poison and then there's like toxic waste. It's like, oh, are we ever going to beat Georgia? Fuck no. What are you talking about?
That's insane.
We don't even know week to week if we're going to beat people in the Sun Belt at this point, honestly.
And we're retweeting. Like, okay, so here's the tweet that I just saw from 4 minutes ago as we're recording this, right? All right. Top 10 best group of 5 backfields. Okay. It's Liberty, it's Boise State, shout out Chris Coots, and it's Texas State. All right. Now, who tweeted that? It is a Twitter account called CF Budge. Who is this? 6,000 followers. I feel like they bought Twitter Plus. Yeah, no. Yeah, they bought Twitter Blue. Cool. Why are we retweeting this on the timeline? Just leave it alone. I understand, you don't want to give your guys the idea that they can be lulled into a false sense of security. I totally understand that. But just don't amplify the message. Stop retweeting it. It's weird, Jacob, because every year right around this time, we're like criticizing our head coach's social media plan. And last year it worked. And then maybe this year it is too. But I'm looking at it. I'm like, please, for the love of God, stop retweeting it. Just leave it alone. Please.
You and me were just talking about this shit off air, but X hiding likes has now changed the recruiting cycle / interactions and shit on what GJ Kinney can do. I actually built, we're going to talk about some of the new signees that we just got. I built this list based on GJ's retweets and likes. So I would not have been able to do, no, I would have been able to do this list, but it would have been a lot harder a couple of days ago had I slept on this.
Who on the enemies list, rank these for me? Louisiana, Marshall, Coastal Carolina, Elon Musk. Rank those as enemies for me.
Fucking public enemy number 1 at this point, because this was just like a mild inconvenience for like every Twitter user. Yeah, the fuck is that? Okay. I don't know. So I was telling you too, some of the best lazy journalism stories came from seeing what politician or celebrity liked porn on the timeline. Ted Cruz, we're looking at you, buddy.
I don't like how you call that lazy journalism. I got a lot of good clicks off that.
I think that is lazy. Well, I mean,
got a lot of good clicks off those.
You know what?
I paid for my house on those clicks, Jacob.
It's open source. That's why. It's like, oh, well, everybody who's a user could have wrote this story.
Not everybody needs to be a FOIA journalist. Some of us just go to the Twitter likes, write a little blog, get a couple clicks, and now I can pay for my shareholders. You know
I do like the community notes. That was a good add-in. Community notes were huge. Like when Baby Gronk flipped his commitment to Louisville or wherever the fuck. And then they were like, he did not actually get an offer from Louisville. So what is that? Yeah, is him just being like, this is my preferred situation?
he has a new preferred situation every day. I'm actually kind of impressed by that. I was out on Baby Gronk. I'm back in, Jake. I'm back in on Baby Gronk.
He kind of disappeared into the limelight, and then I saw him get like a Hitler edit and a Confederacy. Baby Gronk flips to the Confederacy.
Is Baby Gronk our Hezbollah?
Yes.
American exports back at #1, baby.
Wasn't there like a fad of college coaches like offering like 8-year-olds like
yes
when we were in high school, and now that's back, and for whatever reason this kid and his creepy father that are
I want to say General Booty, who was at Oklahoma, I don't know where he's at now. I want to say he got like an offer when he was like a sophomore in high school, maybe a freshman in high school. There was an LSU quarterback who got offered as an 8th grader. Now, the reason he got offered as an 8th grader was because his uncle was a former Heisman winner who I want to say played at LSU. There's a lot. Texas is really bad at it. Not the University of Texas, but like the state of Texas is bad at it notoriously. Because the high school football is so good that you got guys who are like 3rd string running backs as freshmen who are getting offered by like pretty big schools. So
we got guys. My favorite high school sports stories or like college sports stories are always like the guy who is like insane at football now, but he only played like 1 year varsity or 2 years varsity. Those guys are just freak athletes. Like they just adapted very well to like 1 or 2 positions, and then they like took that focus and then like went balls to the wall in college.
See, you don't see that a lot in baseball. I was going to ask, what is your favorite? Is it basketball or football? Because I like the basketball stories. You like the football stories. Okay.
Yeah. I think like basketball is like so much more of a skill thing. I think football is based more on size in those instances.
I like the basketball one because it's like this kid was 5'6" as a sophomore. He went on summer vacation. He came back 6'6".
Yeah.
And now he's like the number 3 shooting guard in the state of like Kentucky.
You can tell why I like those stories, because I was always hoping I would go to summer vacation and come back shredded out of control, starting point guard. Well, I guess I could have been the point guard at any point, but you know what I mean. I could have been. I could have been a contender.
Shots towards Memorial basketball team.
Actually, Memorial's basketball team, McAllen Memorial's basketball team was very good. So no shots out to anybody. They beat New Braunfels my senior year at a tournament, and they lost their mind. And they went to like the 3rd round of the playoffs. Yeah, for the Valley. Good for the Valley. Yeah. Tough.
The football stories are cool too.
I was just talking to my grandma about this, right? Because in the Valley, like some of like the lower Valley teams are some of the best at sports, like Harlingen, Weslaco just won a state title.
In softball.
San Benito is like the best football team is San Benito or like Robert Vela in Edinburgh. And to me, it's like, who the fuck wants to live in San Benito? What are you guys doing? Come to McAllen. Let's get this talent shit started.
So you're saying quality of life, McAllen clears.
Oh, yeah, football, clearly.
Edinburgh might be the place to be.
Yeah, if you live in Brownsville right now, who knows what you're breathing in?
This is why this is why we're a DCTF podcast, because other podcasts you're going to hear about Valley football.
You're not going to hear about Lower Valley football, on a Texas State podcast that you would argue click into.
Outside of Craig Way, I don't think there's anybody who cares more about Lower Valley football than Jacob Rodriguez.
Hornbots on X, Lower Rio Grande Valley football. That's what you get on this podcast about Texas State, by the way. Yeah. Let's start the show.
Tired of winning the tailgate, but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. That's Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State Sports Press. This is the podcast called Squarin' Around, where we talk about everything Texas State related. And, for a while on the Dave Campbell's Republic of Texas Football Podcast Network episodes, we've been fudging the numbers a little bit. We've had some guests on. We've had, I don't know. We've been talking about a bunch of different shit, basically. I think we talked about softball one.
A lot of guests except for Coach Z.
A lot of guests except for Coach Z. Well, but, this has a football emphasis. So, okay. I thought for once in a blue moon, we actually talk about the football team because GJ Kinne signed 7 offensive players, 4 defensive guys. If you were at the spring game, you're like, wow, the defense could be the best in the country. And that's because they had such little depth on the offense, I think. So they got some more tools in the bag, some of which are already on campus. Report day was like, I don't know, whatever happened. Some of these guys are not on the roster for Texas State, but these are all taken from GJ Kinney's like likes and retweets, basically, which I guess admitted to at the top of this show would have been a little harder for me to do had Elon Musk done this fucking switch on Twitter, but we all live in hell. So here we are.
Jakob is the Moses of Texas State football. He went to the Mount and he brings back 6 new recruits.
Hear me. Oh, hear me. All pay heed. The Lord Jehovah has given unto you these 15. Wait. 10 commandments.
God, I promise I will not kill people. Da, 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 da. Here are the tablets. So I'll throw this up on our video portion if you're looking at this.
You want to go through the names?
I guess so, but like, would that even like? Would it matter if I said these guys' names and like, oh yeah,
I think so. Here's why, and this is content 101 for you, Jakey. Here's why you go through the names. Because then if any of these guys turn out to be anything, you can say, I was the first person who was on top of these guys.
First reported by squaring around. 6 months after they signed or after they were committed.
Jalen Griffin, wide receiver from UCF.
Yeah, I put the heights and weights too next to them just because I'm like, hey, could be fun.
Griffin Moore, tight end, Illinois, 6'4", 250.
Ian Langford. Yeah. Center, Trinity Valley Community College, 300-6'5".
3 stacks, baby. Martin Tyne, offensive tackle from Cal. Shout out Jake Spavital. 6'6", 310.
Sully Burns, offensive line out of Tulane. Weighing 300 pounds, 6'7". Jesus
I don't think he's 300 pounds. I think he's more than that.
You know what I've noticed, and I'll talk about heights and weights once we get to a couple more players down. But I've noticed some of these weight staffs, or what do you call that? The summer strength and conditioning guys that are responsible for these heights and weights mostly, like round numbers. Is that good or bad? Is that accurate? I don't know. We'll get
David
to
Connor, offensive lineman from the University of Colorado, 6'5", 295.
Okay. RJ Martinez, quarterback out of Baylor, 215, 5'11". I've also seen him listed at 6 feet at some schools. I think Baylor was one of them. NAU, he played at before then. Could have been 6 foot. Maybe his huddle was also 6 foot. I don't know.
What is up here? And this is for our artists out there. I know there's a couple of pretty good writers and journalists and drawers out there. Here's what you need to do. Give me a graphic of Jordan McLeod, RJ Martinez, and GJ Kinney all swimming in the deep side of the pool. Show me that. Show me the 6 foot and have them doggy paddling. Let's put that graphic up.
Texas State's biggest enemy is a 10-year-old with basic literacy skills that has a ruler in his hand.
Maybe. Okay.
Is that rat poison? Is Jordan McLeod 6 feet tall?
Are we concerned about the short quarterback? We go from 6'7". We go from arguably mobile. Some would call it mobile. You go from a giant of a man,
the biggest quarterback ever at Texas State, probably.
I think so. I think if Colton McWilliams, get on that. Get on the crack research team here.
You know what? I'm going to start looking this up in the background.
Finley,
as we're talking about
Finley, the tallest quarterback in Texas history. I'm just curious to see. The offense ran pretty smoothly last year with a guy who could slice and dice. With a shorter quarterback, what does that mean? Especially when you go through those offensive linemen who are all, like I aforementioned, 6'5" and up.
And I guess the thing is, like, it depends on the offensive system that you run, blah, 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 where the quarterback takes the ball from snap, because some of these quarterbacks, as our lovely fans let us know last week, hey, Jakob and Zimmel, some of these guys take the ball from 5 yards to 7 yards out. So they already get this much. And that's why TJ Finley is actually kind of mobile, because you're forgetting that past the line of scrimmage, it's already +7 or +5 yards on the other side.
I mean, talk about having your thumb on the scale. Be like, hey,
Dead
he's
ass.
already running 7 yards plus another. He pretty much ran for a first down with a 3-yard gain. Like, okay, got it. Cool. Okay. I was told at one point that you want your offensive tackles to be big, 6'5" and up, but you want your interior offensive linemen, guards and center a little bit shorter. So when you have a shorter quarterback, a la McLeod or Martinez, that they potentially could see through the middle of the field. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I don't think that that's the case anymore. I think most of these guys have the ability to see over the offensive line, but it is a little cumbersome. It's a little worrisome to me that we are going kind of on the shorter side of things. Now, some of the best college quarterbacks in the recent memory have been on the shorter side of things, but I do think that the standard is about 6'3" now for quarterbacks. So to have a guy who is listed at 5'11" and another guy listed at 6 foot, 3 inches, I'm told, is a lot. So we'll see.
There you go. Where'd you hear that one?
Wherever heard that one? A scout told me that one. Her name was Sydney the scout.
That's pretty good. Okay. So I've been kind of meandering around looking for information on, is TJ Finley the tallest quarterback ever? Obviously that's kind of hard to do in like 2 minutes of content time. But for the 24 quarterbacks, like class of 2024 or whatever this fucking school year is, right? 24, 25 school year season for football. PJ Hatter listed at 6'2", Carson Kaiser listed at 6'3", which is crazy. I didn't know he was that tall. Brad Jackson out of San Antonio Reagan, who's the true freshman who will probably get redshirted. He's going to be 5'11". RJ also 5'11". Jordan McLeod listed at 6 feet tall. I still think that's horseshit, but you can tell that none of these guys are 6'7", which is what I'm getting at.
So what do you think? Do you think that being smaller quarterbacks, do you think that matters? I know a lot, like I said, it is very much June content. Are our quarterbacks too small? But
all our quarterbacks, the actual size that they are listed on online.
It's very June content wise. I understand that. I understand somebody says like, what the hell are these guys talking about? I get that. But when you consider now McLeod, I would argue a little bit more mobile. RJ Martinez, I haven't seen enough game film to say he's really mobile. I knew that JDL was a mobile quarterback, a guy who can get out of the pocket. If you have a quarterback who can roll out, make a little bit moves, get an open window, willing to work in the pocket for an open window, that as a fan makes me a little bit more excited than say a pocket passer who is 6 foot tall. So I will say, as more film comes out of practices, as we see more of the behind the scenes, as we get into the first week or 2 weeks of the season, we'll have more answers than we have right now in June.
As we do an episode from Bobcat or UFCU Stadium, excuse me. I almost dead named our stadium right now. CJ Rogers listed at 6'3". Obviously TJ was listed at 6'7". So, I just think as a program, you are what you are. Are we a program that lies about our heights and weights? Because some of these guys, honestly, like, truthfully, the height isn't even that big of a deal. Because I think sometimes the weight is for sure fudged. Because especially towards the end
what matters more to you? Let me ask you that. From a non-quarterback point of view, what matters
more?
The
height. It's height. Really? I'll be honest. Yeah.
And
it is because I'm short, and that's the first thing I look at.
I don't think height matters in any position outside of quarterback and offensive tackle on the offensive side. And
not
on the
wide receiver?
Side.
People would say wide receiver. No?
I don't think so. I think that you can have a wide receiver who's 5'10" and it just gets open. Like if you told me that I have a 6'4" receiver who can get zero separation or a 5'10" receiver who can get separation on any route, I'd rather have the 5'10" guy. Like size, height doesn't super matter to me. Weight matters a little bit more in the trenches. I get that. But again, height outside of the offensive tackle and the quarterback, I don't really care all that much. Defensively, I'd rather have a tall corner than a short corner. I would rather have a heavy defensive tackle than a light defensive tackle. But again, size-wise, I don't really care all that much outside of maybe linebacker. I'd like my linebacker to be 6 foot and up. I know that Brian London probably, and maybe like, hey, if I'm wrong about this, Brian, don't see me in the street. I don't think Brian was all that tall from hanging out with him and remembering like our interactions. I'm like 6'1". I think he was about like 6 foot-ish. So, I'm not all that concerned about how tall my defensive players are outside of corner. Who, like I said, a 5'10", 5'10" to 6'2", I don't mind. But you're not going to find a lot of 5'10" to 6'2" corners at Texas State, I don't think.
Let me look up Brian London real quick.
Do you remember him being shorter?
Yeah, he was like for sure 5'9" or something. Brian
He was
London.
not 5'9".
Oh, listed at 6'2", really? That's what 6'2"?
Yeah. And
maybe it's because we were so close to him that I'm like, wow, he's 5'7", just like me. It was like, no, he's clearly so much bigger than you, Jacob.
Isn't that kind of cool, though, that you can just like imagine your heroes in your head and you're like, I could just be like Brian London. It's like, no.
Well, because when we met Brady, that picture of us, I mean, I'm so tiny in that picture. Like, you could tell I've lost a lot of weight toward the end of the season, just like some of these players actually had. Wait, let me see if I can scroll all the way to that. Okay, yeah, perfect.
What are you talking about?
That picture, you, me, Brady, and
No. You said you look tiny. Like, look.
No, I look so tiny right
If
here.
a dude is saying he looks tiny and you're like talking about weight, you know what the adjective for tiny and weight is? Petite. You're saying you looked petite.
Okay, I look petite, I guess. That's not the adjective.
Okay, all right.
First of all, it's not an adjective. That's another fucking word.
I'm just saying.
And that word is usually ascribed to women.
You're saying
so I take insult to this, sir.
Petite next to Vit and McBride and me. Shout out.
I'm just saying, okay, first of all, the camera perspective is so fucked on this picture because Tyler Vitt looks like a gigantor next to us. And you and Brady look similar in size. Not crazy or anything. Where's Brady? He was on this roster. Look at this. Listed at 6'204".
Yeah, I was taller than Brady.
See, okay, so if this coaching staff had Brady, he would be listed at 200, I'm sure, or 210. Not 204.
If this coaching
204 is such a
Brady,
random fucking number.
If this coaching staff had Brady and we were bringing in all these other quarterbacks, I'd be pissed.
He'd be like, damn, Brady's going to ride the pine.
I love Brady. I'd be so upset.
Was Brady the RJ Martinez of his time?
Ooh, no.
No.
I don't think so.
Do you know what
do you know what
RJ stands for? I had to do a deep dive because
Robert John.
You want me to just tell you the story?
It's Robert John, right?
Was Adam Ray Judah at
Ooh.
birth. And you're like, Jacob, why the fuck are you doing a deep dive on RJ Martinez? Let me tell you. I got a tip the other day that RJ is apparently being recruited very highly by another Sun Belt team. And I tell to this person, which I'm not going to name on the podcast, shout out for giving us this story, I don't know.
Inside
scoop-ish, maybe. That I was like, hey, well, what's that other school? Do you know where he might be getting a look from? And they're like, nah, can't tell you. I was like, okay, perfect. This gives me nothing. So they were like,
why don't you reach out to every school in the Sun Belt? There's only 13 other schools. Reach out to every other one and be like, hey, are you interested in RJ Martinez? And then,
just stir interest in this player.
And then, right.
Well, so they were like, do you know if he was enrolled at Texas State? So I was like, okay, let me check that real quick. Because I was able to do that very quickly with Malik Hornsby. Remember when everybody was like losing their fucking mind last year about Malik?
Was it Nebraska he was going to go to?
I just burped right into this microphone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry, dear listener. Yeah, he was going to go to Nebraska, so I had to look that up. It was super easy to look up. Usually all you do is email the registrar's office, and if you have the guy's name, date of birth, like you can look up anybody basically, and they'll tell you, yeah, he's a fucking marketing sophomore right now, or no, he unenrolled this time, or whatever. You have that information. Is very accessible for everybody. So that's a journalism tip for you guys. At Texas State, I tried to do the same shit, which I've been doing since I was in college over there. And they hit me with hey, sorry, our online procedures have changed. This is now a different office. Email them. So I emailed them. They emailed me back to the original request and now that secondary request. Hey, go fuck yourself. Hit up the media people. So I go, all right, I guess. So I hit up the media people. Hey, guys, I normally don't go to you guys for this. Tell me.
Media people?
Yeah, like
SID?
Not the SID. The Texas State, we are the spokespeople for this university, people. So do you see this like roundabout like bullshit I've been
through? Like the provost?
No, like the media people, the spokespeople for Texas State. You know who those people are?
Why? Why would they be in charge of that?
I have no idea. So that's
That doesn't
why
make any sense.
So I forwarded that thing to them and I was like, hey, does this make sense to you? And do you want me to do this in this way? If not, I'm going to keep doing it the other way to streamline this process. Because I've been waiting on this information for like 3 days. They did hit me up and give me some useful information, though, which is that, hey, we're not going to have fall enrollment numbers until the 12th day of class, which is September 11th, which is crazy.
Why do I care about that? What does that matter?
When is the first fucking game? September 11th, by the way. Never forget. But still.
Okay, so to make a long story short,
you
reached out to the registrar's office and they couldn't tell you if he's registered or not.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Which is like, when the hell did we do that Malik Hornsby story? How did we do that? And why was Nebraska so much more accommodating than Texas State?
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know.
So is RJ getting recruited or is he not? Is he 5'11" or is he 6 feet tall?
See, now hold on a second. Look, I want to get into the other. We haven't talked about the defensive side.
That would be something, though, if his recruitment was based on whether or not he was 6 feet tall or 5'11", and Texas State was like 5'11".
That would be the most Texas State story ever. Now, hold on. Why would you not nerf all of your player stats until the opening roster and say, hey, they're all 2 inches shorter and 40 pounds lighter? Defensively, the additions, because again, I want to get into this before we get back to Malik Hornsby. Put a pin in that. We're going to come back and talk about what Sunbelt schools would want Malik Hornsby. Jordan Polk.
Arkansas State apparently did. Jordan Polk.
Correction. I'm sorry. RJ Martinez. That's what I meant. Yeah, RJ Martinez. Yeah, Malik Hornsby. Yeah, shout out. Yeah, you're right. Arkansas State would want him. Or did want him. Cornerback, Texas A&M Commerce, 190, 6 foot, Jordan Polk.
Oh, you gave me the hardest name on there. That's what you did, you bastard. Amapalesi Langi Jr. I'm pretty sure that's how you say your name. If not, please do not crush me, sir, because you're 310 pounds, 6'6", defensive tackle from Hawaii.
Manny Nunnery, linebacker, 6'1", 225.
And Traylon Payne, linebacker, 205, 6 feet tall.
All right, so like I said, linebacker, defensive tackle, the sizes, height-wise, don't really matter. The weight, I think, do. Now,
big news that Brian London was back to 6 feet tall, or 6'2", though. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. Who would want RJ Martinez in the conference? I immediately think ULM and Southern Miss are the two schools
that's exactly what I'm going after. Too. Look at us, birds of a feather. Do we do a podcast every week or something where we bounce ideas off of each other?
The rest of this conference has to be sick of seeing Texas State best quarterback room. Well, there's 7 of them. Texas State best running back room. Ishmael Mahdi, All-American. Yeah, probably Texas State. Wide receiver room. I think got a little bit better. Added a power 5 wide receiver in the offseason. Added some other good technical receivers. I mean, just like I'm talking about, like from a technical receiver standpoint, I find it hard to believe that Leftwich and Kenny came out of last season thinking to themselves, you know what we did really good at was running routes. Shout out to our route running. Let's like run. No, I guarantee you that they spent all offseason working on running routes, working on different route trees, working on installing an offense that will get Joey Hobart, that will get some of these other receivers open.
Would Ashton
Texas
Hawkins
State best receiver
even
room
be on this? I don't know. Like,
okay. How did I go from the most like I think realist, some people would call it a hater, negative about Hawkins, to now the biggest supporter? What is going on? All of a sudden, everybody's acting like he was a bum. Like, what are we doing?
12 wide receivers listed on Texas State's roster.
I bet 5 of them play.
You probably, yeah.
How many leave, do you think?
I don't know.
2?
That's a good question. I mean, because Texas State plays those wide splits, guys are cramping up left and right early in the season because, you know, Texas and summertime, we play what was like 4 or 5 games in Texas to start the season. Open with Lamar, UTSA comes over, go to Sam, come back and host Arizona. Is that week 4? I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
This is really, really early. Next year, I believe UTSA and Texas State both play UT. I think it's in back-to-back weeks.
Really?
I think it's in back-to-back weeks. I want GJ Kenny to stick around long enough to play those games. I want Jeff Traylor to stick around long enough to play those games because that would be very, very interesting if it goes.
Look up UT's schedule right quick.
I think
what the fuck? They don't have 2025 listed. How lame.
I think they have. I think it's UTSA.
They play. State. Oh, look, but UTSA is on this week, so they play Colorado State.
This is next year.
Yeah, this is this year. Well, this year.
No, I want next year. I want 2025.
Well, they don't have that listed, sir. I'm sorry.
I know they play this year.
No. Well, because I had a sneaking suspicion for a long time before the Longhorns left the Big 12 that they were out of that game. And I still think we're going to get left in the dirt, us. Like, I think you always will play a UT system school, but because we have nothing to do with that fucking thing, and it would just be like us go to DKR situation, like.
Okay, no, I was wrong. It's 2026.
Yeah, we play them in 26.
Yeah,
and at least we're scheduled to play them in 26.
This is yes. So it's Texas State, it's Ohio State, and it's UTSA. So there's a week in between. And it's the first week of the season, Texas State and UT.
Now what the hell is that?
So
who made this?
I want GJ Kenny around long enough so that game happens. And I want Jeff Traylor long enough so that game happens because that is going to be electric.
Well, by then, are you and I going to be like Futurama heads, like on this podcast? Like, what the fuck happens in 2 years?
In 2 years?
This country could go down a shit pile in like November this year. That's like less than 4 months away.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with doing a Texas State podcast during a fascist state. That'd be fun.
November, 5 months. Yeah.
I could do it.
We make it through what? What is that? Most of college football, I guess. Like, what is that? 6 games, 7 games?
Oh, yeah. No. Football season starts last week of August. You're looking at 3 solid months of college football.
People get really hyped up about those January fucking bowl games. I think another thing people get hyped up about is a trip to the Capitol. You know who you are. You listen to this podcast.
Bigger game.
This is what we play for.
We more excited for January 20th or January 2nd, national championship game.
Certifying votes or the Rose Bowl. What do you want more, everybody?
I can only get one plane ticket to Pasadena or DC. Which one do we go for?
Oh, does anybody play a bowl game in DC or Maryland?
No. The Seminoles got left out of the playoffs, so all their fans went to the Capitol.
Damn. Yep. Tough
look.
All that to say, 7 guys on offense signed dotted line, 4 guys on defense signed the dotted line. So a total of 11 players joining the Bobcats in 20 and 24. Again, I told you this roster, I think, is mostly up to date. There might be 1 or 2 guys that are left off that are being added. Do not have like headshot pictures on their name or anything like that. Encouraging, though, because anybody could be like, hey, what the hell is the offensive line going to look like? You had to retool a bunch of those guys. And yeah, that's where a lot of this comes from. So you got to learn different shit with that. What is that? Offensive tackle, 2 linemen, and a center. Pretty good. That's like an entire line right there. So who knows? What the fuck?
Jakey can count.
Ayo, and you'd be surprised if you knew where I went to fucking elementary school, Laredo, Texas.
Laredo. Shout out the elementary school system in Laredo, Texas.
Ian Langford listing himself as center, I think is helpful for us. I think he could start. I don't know who the fuck the center is going to be, to be honest. I think who was taking snaps at it? Was it Nash Jones or somebody else too? Like, I don't know. They're trying to fill a hole they had.
Could you imagine being like, yeah, I don't know what the wide receiver room looks like, but let me talk to you about the offensive line. Let me break down the starting 5 there. There's a real position.
You don't think Bo Sparks out of Utah Tech is going to have a breakout year, baby?
There's a real position battle for that right tackle position. I'm telling you right now.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think a lot of these are like very like not shored up positions though. No, like aside from like Joey Hobart being the best receiver perhaps ever.
I don't know. And again, this is very much June content. Does it like as a fan, I like indecision. I like not knowing what the roster kind of looks like. But at the same time,
you said the opposite 2 weeks ago. We were talking about the quarterback situation.
That's what I'm saying. I kind of would rather have my quarterback locked in. I kind of like to know who I guess it's Jordan.
Quarterback and center. I think if you can lock two of those positions down, they're both happen to be juniors and they're coming back. You're like, oh, thank God. Best situation in college football right now.
It's funny how like at peace I am with like the running back room. That like I'm like Lincoln Perry,
UTEP's room.
Yeah, UTEP's entire running back room. Ishmael Mahdi. Like I'm kind of like, all right, whatever. Like
from UTEP that averaged like 100 yards a carry as like the third guy on the team.
Yeah, like okay,
pretty good.
I think I saw the other day that they had like projected NCAA 25 rankings for like the different positions, right? So it's like quarterback, running back room, stuff like that. I think Texas State's was like an A- for like the running back room, and I think it was like a B+ for quarterback. It's like, damn, that's kind of crazy that you would think GJ Kenny, Mac Leftwich, the people who love quarterbacks, that you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the position you feel the best about. But I think it's running back. I don't think that's impossible to say either.
89 or a 90 overall in the last NCAA or something like that.
Who is?
Didn't they say that GJ Kinney was like an 89 or a 90 overall? But then they were like, well, that game was super favorable to quarterbacks. I was like, shut up. What was he? I don't care if the game was engineered in a certain way to benefit certain play styles.
Also, okay.
Also, wasn't he player of the year? Make him a 90.
Conference? Yeah, for the American Conference. Yeah. And also you play every snap goes into the quarterback's hands. As a video game player, I would argue the quarterback or the player you want to be the best is the quarterback. What are we talking about here? That makes sense. It's always going to lean towards quarterback. I would be more upset. I'd be more upset if they like nerfed my quarterback and we're like, oh, actually GJ's an 84 or whatever when he should be a 90. Like that'd piss me off.
Talking about the wide receiver room, last year around this same time, instead of talking about this stuff, we were talking about who the fastest person on the team was. Do you remember that shit? And it was like, oh, Malik Hornsby or Drew Donnelly out of Cincinnati. And everybody's like, who the hell is Drew Donnelly? He's just
I'm saying that right
white guy. He's a huge white guy out of Cincinnati who is still on the team. He would probably have like better name recognition had he caught like the 3 to 4 passes at Baylor that he was wide open for, that really would have ripped the score open for that one. But we were just haunted by drops.
We can only have one white boy. There's only one white boy receiver.
And he was not knighted that night.
It was not. It was Joey Hobart.
I think Drew Donnelly had some good games. Let me go back and look. Let me just not like do revisionist history right now.
I was going to say, I don't remember Drew Donnelly having a 100-yard game last year.
I'm sure he didn't have a 100-yard game.
I set the over-under.
He averaged 15.4 yards a carry last year, 16.9 yards a game.
Per catch.
Yeah, bro. Okay, per catch. My bad.
His
longest was 42. Total for the year last year, 169 on 11 receptions. So, yeah, very much not a 100-yard game guy.
Yeah.
Was that like a targeting thing, though? Like, was he too fast, perhaps, that TJ Finley couldn't lace the ball into his hands?
Are you stupid? What are you talking about? Is he too fast?
Is he too fast for TJ Finley?
I think TJ Finley just didn't have enough time in the pocket. That was a problem.
That is true. Players could not develop.
Yeah. Joey had a situation a couple of times last year where he got double covered with the safety on top of him. And I thought it was so funny because Joey Hobart's a great receiver. I do not think you need safety over the top help with Joey Hobart. Maybe I'm wrong. He did a lot of his damage in between the numbers. So
yeah, if you get the ball in his hands, he's like, and especially yards after contact too. I would. But they were covering him like he was,
oh man.
Compare that to Joey Hobart's 76 receptions for 895 yards, 8 touchdowns. The longest was 83.
I am tired. It's a Wednesday. Who was the receiver in 2020 that had that incredible catch against SMU?
I could not tell you.
Okay.
22.
I'll find that. Yeah, 2022.
Let's do some digging here. Who was our best receiver in 2022?
2020. I'm sorry.
Oh, 2020?
Yep. where it was, we ended up losing by 6. It was like that game we should have won in San Marcos.
Oh, this was the COVID year. This is honestly 21, 22, or 2020 and 21 are the lost years for me.
Jeremiah Haydel.
Oh, yeah, he was quite good.
That guy was incredible. Yeah. That's who I was thinking of. Jeremiah Haydel, you needed to double team. You needed to put a safety over the top. Joey Hobart, I wasn't. What are we doing here? What's going on?
Jeremiah Haydel. Was he even on the 21 team? Am I on 21 or 22? Fuck. Was it 2019? No, it couldn't have been.
It was 2020 that
Really? I can't find him on that roster.
The 2020, 2021 team, is that what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Where'd you find his name so fast? What were you looking at?
I went to ESPN and said,
I'm so glad we don't wear those like digital gold camo jerseys anymore, because that's what they took headshot pictures in for some fucking reason this year. You can tell were our media relations team. No, not this year. Back in the day, brother.
Back in the day.
Jeremiah Haydel. Let me sort this by position. Do.
Bum 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 bum. This is pretty good. Micah Parsons, what he could hit in the MLB. He says, I think I could hit about 180 to 200.
Oh,
Mookie Betts says, at 500 bats, I think he gets 0 hits. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I can't find him on this thing.
Jeremiah Haydel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me pull it up for you.
Caleb Twyford. Remember him? He was pretty good.
What is this? Memory Lane?
Gavin Banks. Drew Jackson. All these guys lost to history last year, honestly. Which I guess is why I would understand that like the typical Texas State fan is like, oh my God, we're the best fucking team ever. Because they didn't see all these guys play, you know? And I guess they didn't see half of fucking last year where we almost lost games. I was listening to the Republic of Football, actually, and they were talking about how, oh, look, holy shit, Jeremiah Haydel. What fucking roster is it? This is 2019 that you just sent me, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is the year I was like, are you sure he didn't play this year? And you were like, no, I'm sure.
What do you... I said he played in 2020. He played in the SMU game in 2020.
Yeah, 2019. That's when he would have played the SMU game. You know when they played SMU in 2019? September 14th, 2019, you fucking idiot.
But he made his catch on September 5th of 2020 in San Marcos.
No, he didn't. He wasn't on that team.
You want to bet?
Yeah, I do want to bet. He wasn't on that team.
Yes, he was.
Oh, man, I remember him because he used to wear the pacifier fucking mouth guards. Texas State, SMU, 2020 game. Because this is the game you and I saw in person.
I just sent it to you.
You sent me the game recap?
Yes, I sent you the ESPN game recap. Where you can watch his catch.
Haydel hauls in touchdown, catch of the year candidate. Wait, so he's not on that fucking roster though. So
I need you to pay attention to what I say. I said, I don't know what your roster you're looking at, but he was on the 2020 team when he made this catch. And for whatever reason, you went to 2019. I was like, it's the 2020 game.
I'm telling you what's listed. I looked up that roster. He wasn't on it.
He left after that year. After 2020, he left.
Look, look at his historical thing. It says he's not even on there.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, clearly he was on the team.
So call Rick Poulter.
No, thank you.
You're sending me back what I sent you. This is the same link I just sent you.
Yeah, no.
What are you doing?
And if you click on him, you'll see he was not on the 2019 or 2020 roster for some reason.
So the video evidence is not doctored? It's
AI?
AI?
No, I have no idea.
About?
Hey, look, This is why we needed fucking Chris Coots, man.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? I'm telling
This
you
is
what's on the
insane.
fucking online.
I'm going to hold on.
That longest reception by Jeremiah Haydell in 2020, which he actually did do, and it was not doctored, was 26 yards, the longest for him, I'm sure, in his career.
McBride, end zone again, touchdown! Haydell brought it in with one hand.
I still maintain the correctness on the targeting call, Anish. Inbounds. What a grab. Secures it. Watch Johnson's hand swipe by the ball. But you know what? When you're Texas State, you're the underdog. You got to make plays like that to be in this ballgame.
I need to get Chris Coots' number.
Only 37 yards
what is going
on the game, though. So, on the night for him.
What are you talking about? You talking about the SMU game?
Yeah.
Okay. Catch of the year. He was incredible that year.
Catch of the year in week 3.
It was. I mean,
that was where our bars were, though.
We should have. That is one of the multiple games that we should have won. That was a tough one.
31-24, the final score.
31-24.
31-24. Yeah, they're the home team. That's what I said. SMU's the home team. And they won. I'm writing for Pony Up in a round. Anyway, my apologies, I guess, because he was on the team, obviously. Not listed on the thing. Whose fault is that? Not mine.
Always deflecting, always blaming other people.
Always gaslighting people.
I guess. That's why I was like, he wasn't on the team. I was like, I swear to God he was.
This will be so funny when I have to edit this later and then I have to include all these fucking links that I made an issue.
Yes.
Anyway, well, how the fuck did we start talking about Jeremiah Haydell?
And why was he not on the 2020 roster? That's the better question.
I'm telling you, he's not there.
Jalen Gibson, remember that guy?
I do. I remember people that year. What was that? 2019 and 2020?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was on both of those teams. If he's listed on the fucking roster. At least if I'm not imagining, if memory serves correct, he was on the 2020 team. But people were telling us back then that he was the best quarterback who did not have that arm talent to lead that team. But had he had the arm talent, Texas State would have had a good leader on the team.
Remember it was like him, it was Brady and Vitt and Jalen Gibson, and people were like, well, Jalen Gibson should play. It's like,
yeah, we were like, what are you talking
about? Okay, Spavital's literally coaching for his job. So if it really is Jalen Gibson, that's a Hall of Fame level bad call.
I'm telling you, 2020 is such a lost year for this program for me, but I remember all of these storylines very vaguely. And the games, I remember even less, actually. But I remember watching the SMU game.
And the UTSA game.
And the UTSA game. I'm pretty sure. And Rutgers.
Our non-conference.
Or Boston College. Who did we play? We played some insane team that year.
I think it was Boston College, too.
Because I lost $150 on that game. That's why I remember that game.
That's a tough look.
Mm-hmm. I almost big up my money, though. It could have been a $400 win.
Do you remember how we lost that game?
It was like a field goal, wasn't it?
It was a field goal.
Yeah, that's why I remember it.
All right, so here's your 2020 season.
Sorry,
it's weird. 4 year back. Let's do it. All right, week one, week one, lost to SMU at home, 31-24. Week 2, I-35 rivalry, double overtime loss to UTSA, 51-48.
Dagger in the heart.
First win of the season. We're 1-2. We thought the year was really good. 2 tough losses to start. Beat ULM 38-17. You're like, damn, we're on the right side of history. Boston College, we go up there. We lose by 3 again. So if you're keeping track at home, that is a, 7-point loss, a 3-point loss, and a 3-point loss in the first 3 games. So that we lost 13 by 13 combined points.
Yeah. And we had to be successful in this year, your head coach needs to be David Goggins.
Who's going to carry the boats and the logs?
That's you, buddy. Come on, 23. Come on, 24. One more, David.
Who's
one more
going to carry the boats
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You did it. Yeah.
But a 1-3 record through 4 games. Ass kicking, 20-point loss to Troy, 37-17. We come back home. We lose by 10 to South Alabama. Another one where we felt we should have won. So again,
that's when I deleted my ESPN Plus account that year.
Yes.
South Al.
Yes. An absolute schlepping by BYU, who's a top 15 teams. It was 52-14. That was in Provo. And if you remember, future first-round draft pick Zach Wilson tore up Texas State. If we want to go back, we can look at those numbers.
Run it back. If Jake Spavital got one more year following this piece of shit year.
No, he shouldn't have.
Could we have gotten it?
No.
Well, he did get one, I guess, because they hired GJ in 23, right? Or no, 22.
No, this was his final. I'm pretty sure
this is the nail in the coffin year. Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah, here's what I want to do. Can you guess Brady versus, let's do this. Brady versus Zach Wilson in a awful loss. Do you remember? Do you want to know his stats?
Yeah, I do want to know them. I don't remember this game.
Brady McBride, not a bad game. 17 of 30, 150 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Okay. Rushed for, I don't think, negative yards. BYU's Zach Wilson, 19 of 25, 287 yards, 4 TDs.
Prime Zach Wilson.
Kind of chopped us up. All right, let's move on. Homecoming, a 10-point loss to Louisiana, 44-34. A loss to App State, 38-17. That one really stunk.
You remember Brock
two-point loss, a 2-point loss to Southern Georgia. Yeah, 40-38. A win. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. A 2-point win against Arkansas State, 47-45. Barely eked that one out at home. And you're like, all right, can we end the year against a top 25 team? Yes, you can, Jakey. And here's the final score to end the season: 49-14 against Coastal Carolina.
What did we finish at that year?
Our record that year was, I want to say it was 3 and
oh my
2
God,
2-10.
So I understand, Texas State fans, why you're so like, oh my God, this is amazing, because of that shit.
It's good. I think that's what we need to do every time we lose a game, is just go back and be
go back in history and be like,
it was.
You remember literally playing NCAA 14 and getting the dog shit kicked out of you week to week?
Well, I would say, do you remember playing NCAA 14 and not watching Texas State games? Because, that's kind of how it was.
Brady McBride, is he the most consequential quarterback at Texas State? I can see why you like this guy so much more now, because you paid attention in 2020 when I was not.
Yeah.
I bought back into the team 21.
And also Spavital did not get fired that year. He did coach in 2021.
I told you he did.
Yeah. I apologize for that.
So Jeremiah Haydell did in fact play in 2020, and Coach Spavital did play or coach the team in 21. Learn a lot on this podcast.
9-point loss to Baylor. I remember that one hurt. It was at home. You thought you should have beat Baylor. You go to Miami. You eke out a win against FIU. And then this is the one. This is really when the tires fell off. Heroes Day. September 18th, 2021. Do you remember what day that was?
9/11. Because for some reason we do that at Texas State.
Do you remember what team Texas State lost to?
Oh, no.
Texas State team coached by one, I believe it was GJ Kenny.
Really? Oh, UIW? We lost to them on Heroes Day? On 9/11?
42-34 loss to UIW.
That's tough.
Yeah, and then it just all went down. It all went downhill from there. It was tough. It was a
so
tough year.
Those teams were very not mentally strong, right? And this is why Craven is like fucking Jeff Traylor is the best coach ever to ever exist, because he can start at like an 0-4 hole. And his whole theory is that these former high school coaches turned college pros are like, hey, we got to play our best football like November, December, and we get the ball rolling. You know, we're playing for the high school title, basically, mentally at least. See where he's going with that?
Okay. Yes, I understand where he's coming from. I don't think that works in college football, but Jeff Traylor's proved me wrong. So.
I think this is just another fucking grape on the vine for Craven on that one. But clearly those Texas State teams were not mentally tough.
No.
You start off but how mentally tough do you have to be? Like, how many games can you lose before you're just like, fuck this, I'm not playing well at all this year? Is it 2 or is it 4?
How many? Well, hold on. Here's the thing. How many 3-point losses and then those turn into 22-point losses? Those
are like, coaches would argue that those are like moral victories, right? Like, oh
no, trust me. I remember arguing online all the time about moral victories.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. They're right. So like, I don't know.
Yeah,
because guys would be like, where's the sense of pride in this team? Like, those guys just got their asses kicked, man. What are you talking about?
I think the worst loss Texas State had, I'm trying to think.
On record? On record?
The thing was, this is from a fan point of view.
Oh, okay.
Losing by 45 to Louisiana was tough. Losing by 45 to Louisiana and then seeing the football team on the square that same night was worse. Like a 2:30 kickoff. 2:30 kickoff, they get home at 10, and then you're seeing players like on the square. That's rough. Those are the ones where as like a fan of the team, you're like, I don't like this. And maybe it's different now. Maybe it's different now because I'm an adult. I'm not like a college guy anymore. When you're a college fan and you're in college and you're like peers with these people at like a student level, not a student athlete level, but like a student level, it would be kind of like if you had a group project and the person who didn't like show up or like pull their weight, you saw them after finals, you failed the test, you're going to have to retake the class because you failed this group project, and then they're out there partying. You'd be like, I don't really like to see you right now. Like, this isn't great. Now I understand on the group project metaphor, like I wasn't doing anything as a fan. They were doing it, but maybe that's almost worse because I had no control over the outcome of the game and you did. You're still out here partying. Like, I understand dudes need to get some stress off. I understand student athletes. That one hurt the most, I think.
You know, as a guy who spent a lot of money and a lot of time on the square, I would run into the football team all the time, which is how me and Brian London actually became acquainted. Off the field antics, not on the field. Let me ask you, journalism.
Okay, you say acquainted. So if I called Brian right now and I said, do you remember running into Jakob on the square? Do you think he would remember you?
Yes. He's told the story on the podcast.
2 hours later.
Verify it. I don't give a fuck.
I'm curious. I'm just curious.
Text me.
We're already way over. We're already way over time.
Oh, way over.
A few moments later.
He's not going to answer your call.
Why? You don't think so?
I don't think so.
6
but
o'clock
I guarantee you, he's like, yeah, me and Jakob went squaring. But that's why the group chat you and I have is the Square Boys with him.
That's true. Didn't I put a tweet in there recently?
No.
Several bad puns later.
Maybe you did. I don't know. I've been a little MIA off Elon Musk's favorite app.
Come on, Brian, pick up.
He's not answering your phone.
That's sad. I mean, that's almost worse.
I can't wait to cut this into the show too.
Please leave your message.
Brian, you let me down, buddy.
Text him. Be like, did you ever square with Jakob?
I'm texting him, let me down.
Dang. Would Brady answer you? This is like, who's the most famous person in your phone? Call them right now and see if they pick up.
I'll call Brady. Why not? I got nothing to lose. I'm already embarrassed.
You gonna go 0 for 2 on this?
Yeah. Let's see if I can go.
I never squared with Brady. Regrettable.
Yeah. 6 o'clock on a Wednesday. Again, it's like, do these people have jobs / families?
No.
2,000 years later.
I just got the McDonald's app. Pretty good. Get those points, boys.
Bring your pride. Can't get the phone right now.
Oh, man.
His high school voicemail?
Brady, you let me down, buddy. Tough times.
What if you had a gun to your head right now and the only people who could save you were former players for Texas State?
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
Oh, man.
All right. I forget where we were going with Literally all of this shit. But it is fun to go down memory lane. And I do have a lot more respect for the 2020 and 21 teams that I paid zero mind to and apparently just put hundreds of dollars on every once in a while and then wondered why I was losing all my money back then. Were we on a collision course to make this podcast the whole fucking time? Probably. Was this inevitable? Just like Thanos? I think so too. Something else inevitable, I think, was Dave Campbell's listing a special teams guy on the all Texas team that they do, which I feel like was just like Texas State's placeholder on that list for the longest time. But now we get that plus actual players on the list. So if you're not familiar, Dave Campbell says an all Texas team. I'll pull it up right now. So I'm not.
Now last year I was proven very, very right in my argument that they snubbed Quinn Ewers. I was very like that was insane how right I was about that.
Did you end up looking that up after we talked about this?
It was Frank Harris.
Oh, it was?
It was Frank Harris.
No way.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I told you this too last week, we talked about this. Sometimes you're like, wow, the deck really cannot be stacked against Texas State in any way. Surely there's not some alternative interest in this. And then Quinn Ewers gets snubbed on a list made by a guy who went to UTSA in favor of Frank Harris, who had no knees at the time. And still does not.
Absolutely outplayed Frank Harris by every metric.
It went to a college football semifinal, man.
Well, also remember it was like, well, Quinn's not healthy enough.
Yeah.
Quinn, he hasn't played enough games, not healthy enough. Yeah, okay. Versus the guy that had 4 knee surgeries. Okay, and then now it's like talked about as like, well, he had 4 knee surgeries. Well, he had 4 knee surgeries.
Also, Craven broke the news that guy had 4 knee surgeries.
Yes, exactly. Like
you
knew
that
what
list.
you were doing.
Yeah, and I understand that we're taking shots at a guy who will not see this podcast because he won't even go back to work for another 3 weeks because he's on his honeymoon. So this podcast will be long dead to history by then. Anyway, the all Texas team, first team. Do you want to do offense? I'll do defense, maybe.
Sure.
I guess.
I'm going through this right now though, looking at because we have the end of the year rankings, right? From last year. Listen to this. This is the 20. Yeah, okay. Revealed 2023 DCTF All Texas College Football Team led by Longhorns and Mustangs. This was released.
This is
on
like
December. No, this is almost worse. This is released December 4th, 2023. And the best quarterback was Frank Harris.
That's crazy.
I mean, like,
if you did NFL honors for that, he would be comeback player of the year, I think.
For Frank Harris?
Yeah, for Frank Harris.
I mean, I don't know. Sure, I guess.
An Alex Smith-esque year.
I like the worst part is I like Frank Harris.
I like Frank Harris the man. I hate Frank Harris the roadrunner.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Now, okay, where is the whole? Because I have what you sent with it because it's Texas State, right? With the preseason, I want to know. There it is. I'm looking for I want the whole.
The one that starts with Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, I want the whole thing. Quinn Ewers, the quarterback. Tajay Brooks, that makes sense. Joey Hobart, okay. Texas Tech getting a lot of love on this. SMU getting a lot of love on this. That kind of surprises me.
Yeah, I know, right? What the hell is up with that?
Mason Shipley and Ish Manu. Interesting. Are you surprised that
I wasn't surprised we got a kicker on there because that's always what Dave Campbell's gives us is some special teams are. I think I'm probably wrong about this, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. But our punter, who's our punter for the longest time? Oh, Seamus O'Kelly. I'm sure he was on a DCTF list at some point.
Let me ask you this. Are you surprised because the second team was Preston Stone? Are you surprised that McLeod didn't make second team? All Texas. I think Preston Stone's really good.
Now that you mention it, I guess so.
I think Preston Stone's really good. I don't think he'll be a top 5 quarterback in the ACC. I think Jordan McLeod will be maybe a top 2 quarterback in the Sun Belt this year.
And on defense, the guy holding us down or holding it down for us is Caleb Culp, safety.
I was gonna say, if you want to go through the first team, Caleb Culp, Joey Hobart, Ishmael Mahdi, Mason Shipley, and Ben Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go. Shout out to those guys. Kind of interesting. Savion Williams is going to be good for TCU.
Kind of interesting. By the way. And again, this is like rat poison shit, right? But you know,
can it be rat poison and then also be posted on the Texas State like website? Like, can you flex and be like, hey, look at DCTF gave us these like awards, these accolades, but also like rat poison?
Yeah.
Like if Texas State was picked to win the Sun Belt, which they probably are in a lot of people's minds, and you post it on your website, do you get to say it's rat poison? Because like technically, like you're the one putting it out there.
True. Yeah. If you retweet it, is it not rat poison anymore? Yeah, are we believing these alternative facts?
To really Millennium, put a bow on it, right? Tie it all together.
So we've talked about a lot of things, and we've also not talked about a lot of things on this podcast. We've kind of just like done a lot of number radio, which is like apparently what people want sometimes, and then apparently not what people want. Like I think the clip of you and I yelling at each other is probably what more people would like, and then us lamenting on Texas State not having a great media relations team in 2020 and 2021. But yeah, Craven also has a book all about college football too,
which is cool. I'm excited for that. Did you pre-order it?
Yeah, $43, by the way, even with the Dave Campbell's promo code. Yeah, let me look at my fucking receipt from this.
How much money were you lining Craven's pocket with? I hope
a lot.
He gets at least like $10 of every person.
$43.29. That's with a $10 promo code.
Jeez Louise. Yeah. This probably isn't great.
I love Craven. I'm going to get his ass to sign it when he comes to San Marcos in week 3 when UTS or week 2 Texas State plays UTSA. Yeah. So yeah, but hey man, why didn't I get a copy of that for free? Honestly.
Probably kind of crazy that like we're talking about like, oh man, this book cheaper, like we're paying for his European vacation.
If you don't know what this is Dave Campbell's coffee book about all the FBS teams in Texas, and then he has little tidbits, and we actually got to pick some of the restaurants too. So any like local spots that are in there, Craven was like, hey, is this cool? Do you have the blessing? Can I have the squaring around blessing for this? And we were like, yeah, that's fun. And we had that conversation at Herbert's Tacos.
Shout out. So that is the 7th. That's a 3 p.m. game. So let's say hypothetically he lives in Austin. Are we getting food after or before? My fat ass is thinking both.
Dude, have you had this conversation with Craven? He gets to games like 3 hours in advance.
So he gets there at noon? Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, you said 7, no?
The game's at 3.
Oh, for real? Damn. That's going to be very fucking hot, and I'm going to be bitching the entire time. I already know.
I'm not. I'm going to be sitting in that press box.
They're doing... I don't even think I can talk about this, actually. There's a lot of other like little headlines and stuff that we could talk about, but I guess, should we just leave it on football? Ooh, we've done like 2 football episodes back-to-back on the Football Podcast Network.
How much money did those guys make on that podcast? Actually, they lost money.
Yeah, I'm sure we actually did lose money.
Can you believe
if you hate Craven, if you like Craven, buy his book.
If you hate Craven, buy the book and burn it. If you love Craven, buy the book and have him sign it. He'll come. He'll be at the UTSA game.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get him to sign that shit. Do you think that gains money or loses money?
The book?
If you get Craven to sign it.
Ooh, I would want. Here's what I would want. You're talking about signing. I wouldn't want him to sign it. I would want an inscription. I want him to write me a letter. I want him to write
Jacob
me a note.
Rodriguez from the Squarin Around podcast.
Seriously, be like, dear Jacob, I really appreciate. Okay, Craven, on your flight home, listen to this part. Dear Jakey or Jacob or J-Rod, whatever you want to call him. Mm-hmm. Shorty. Hey, Shorty.
Hey, Shorty.
I really appreciate how hard you work for DCTF. You're doing a great job on the podcast. Make sure I look good on camera. Love, MC. Huh? There you go. There's your inscription. It's almost like I've written a couple of inscriptions before.
This is the story of a girl who drowned the river and cried.
I'm just saying.
Who cried a river and drowned the whole river.
I'm just saying.
And it doesn't even matter.
I'm pretty good at this whole entertainment thing.
Revisionist history and number radio on Squaring Around.
I hate it.
Public of Football Podcast Network. Is this the most boring fucking podcast we've ever done? Quite possibly.
I don't think so.
I think it was kind of entertaining. What do you want us to talk about? Some bullshit? Oh, fucking, we have, I only know how to say this name if I'm reading it verbatim. Elizabeth Runsdottir was crowned the NCAA national champion in women's hammer throw, baby. We got a natty. And that's like basically where I want to end the show, I think.
A national championship. Track and field has done great this year.
She's from Iceland, by the way.
And we also won the Bubba's Cup for the Sun Belt, which I thought was a really funny name. I really enjoyed the name of it is that.
Which, like, why don't they call it like the Sun Belt Commissioner's Cup or like something easy, you know?
I like the Bubba's Cup. I think it's kind of...
It's because Vic regional. Bubas was the Sun Belt athletic director from whatever. Vic Bubas? I've heard people pronounce it differently.
Yeah, I like it. It's very regional. I enjoy it. And I like that Texas State keeps winning it, even though...
I think this is Don's second, third Bubba's Cup.
Cannot be his third. There's no shot that it's his third.
If only the university sent out a release about this. Let me just click on this little doodad. Doo-doo-doo. For the second time in the last 3 years, Texas State won the Sun Belt Conference's Vic Bubba's Cup, which is awarded annually to the conference's top athletic department.
And then we lose Chris Coots.
We almost lost this to James Madison in the point category for the Tri-Wizard tournament that goes on every year. James Madison put up 126 points. Texas State put up 130.5.
We barely eked it out. That's why those regular season championships matter so much, Jakey. That's why I'm always like, hey, the regular season matters.
I'm sure that football is weighted heavily in terms of like points in this too. Because we get volleyball.
No way. No shot. Absolutely no. Because let me tell you why I don't believe that. Here's why. There's a thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Jacob, as a non-ally. It's called Title IX. Do you know how effed up it would be if they said football mattered more, weighed more than women's sports? I guarantee you there's a metric that all of these things are very equally balanced. I promise you that there's some sort of algorithm, some sort of equation. These are all equally balanced, because if it came out that football mattered more than those other sports, even though we all kind of know football matters more than some other sports, it would look really bad.
I was trying to find something that would prove that I'm right, but basically this is just based on like win totals for the end of the year and how the teams finish at the end of the year. I'm sure this is all just plugged into an Excel sheet and then it gets like figured out in real time. But yeah, I was right. It was named after the Sun Belt's first commissioner, Vic Bubas. Or Bubas? Nevada? Remember that episode? That was fun.
What is this? Like an Eastern European chef? Bubas? Chef Bubas? Like, what are you talking about?
Bubas?
The Bubba's Cup.
Bubba's? That's how I would say it for sure. But I've heard some people say it differently.
Who, Cajuns?
Some people being Kelly Damphus. One Kelly Damphus.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know what?
We need to get Don on the pod.
Kelly would know.
Don, run it back.
Yeah. The state of the program is what we call it.
Well, thanks for squaring around, everybody. I hope this episode turns out good. I don't know what the fuck it'll end up being. Peace.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.